This episode of the Golf Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is presented by WynnBET. WynnBET is now live in Arizona, Colorado, Indiana, Louisiana, Michigan, Jersey, New York, Tennessee, and Virginia. From boosted same-game parlays to live in-game odds, WynnBET has what you need to win. Sign up today. You bet $100, you get $100. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WynnBET. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WYNNBET. State restrictions do apply. And we're also brought to you by the SGPN merch store. Head over to store.sportsgamblingpodcast.com and use promo code MADNESS for 10% off orders $40 or more. All right, DJs, welcome back to the Golf Gambler Podcast. It's your boy, Boston Capper, with the god of golf himself, Steve Shermer. Steve, how we feeling, buddy? I'm ready for TPC because fuck API.
Apparently, it's how a lot of people feel after what happened today. No, I'm doing okay. I didn't get crushed. Not a great week. I only lost maybe a couple fractional units. Thank you, Max Homa, for nutting up in the back nine there for top 20. Thank you, Keith Mitchell, for nutting up too.
Yeah, he didn't nut up for me. What did you get? A top 40? Fucking
top 30.
Yeah,
so that worked out for me.
I had him top 20.
I lied to you and actually did put down a little bit on Haddon for a top 20 after Friday, so that helped a little bit. But yeah, most of my card, it looked great after Friday because I did that little win stack. And then they've realized, oh, I actually hate Bay Hill. So then they all fell down the leaderboard, and I didn't have anything nearly close at the end. But apparently, you know what? Everyone went busto, unless you took a flyer on Kurt Kitayama, breaking the trend of just big favorites hitting. And there you go. We finally got a long shot that hit, guys. Congratulations. You guys are right all along.
So it does lead into kind of an interesting question, especially going into this week, right? Where we know the course is super volatile. One bat shot can fucking eject you. I mean, at least in my brain, it makes me a little more comfortable betting guys in like the 30, 40, 50 range again, right? Like right. Last week, I was terrified to do it. I was like, this is ridiculous. And then especially with Rahm on fucking Thursday, like killing the first round leader and looking like a fucking freight train. I was like, God damn it. Like this is so, what happened to him over the weekend, by the way? Holy shit.
I know. No, I mean, well, you kind of were on the scent that maybe he just doesn't really like Bay Hill. Yeah. So everything. So putting was fine. Around the green was fine. Irons were fine. The driver was a mess. You called that. That was a very good take on you, by the way. The driver, it was good on Thursday. Yeah. He was hitting a lot of fairways. They were actually commenting that about how, on the range, everybody thinks he's a fader, but he's really done a nice job with these long irons and fairway metals, just hitting a really good draw now. Yeah. That went away apparently the rest of the weekend, though. Yeah. So
he got the stats once they come out.
Yeah, pretty much. So, listen, Kurt Kitayama wins. He finished second at CJ Cup. He's got a good finish at Honda in his career, but just missed a cut at Genesis. He blew up in the final round at Pebble when he was in contention. It was kind of out of nowhere. I think the only thing I looked at when I looked at back in sets, I was kind of looking like, all right, this unexpected winner happened. How did he do it? He was putting better lately.
Yeah.
So, and that was one of his kryptonites. And, he kind of fits a little bit of the blue play, what you're looking for. He's really long and he's pretty good around the green. And if the putter was working for him, then, that was how I was going to do it. But I was very impressed by him. He hung tough. He hit it out of bounds on 9.
Dude, and 2 days in a row, he had fucking triples and he still won. That's crazy.
He did. And with all those big names too, I think it helped that Hovland kind of vomited all over himself, today. I think that would have been a problem for you if Hovland won because you were very angry about how he got in contention with a ace and holding out from the fairway and holding out from a bunker shot, essentially getting 5 strokes.
Yeah, exactly.
For the tournament. But,
why not luck box into a win too? But whatever.
I mean, it ended up working itself out. He was pretty bad today.
He's been bad on Sundays. Like in big tournaments. Think about the Open. He didn't do well. I don't know. It's interesting.
I mean, unless it's in the Bahamas or outside the United States, he can't really perform on Sundays apparently.
Yeah, so and people were saying like his around the green game is fixed now. I was like, no, it's not. No, it's not.
He had a couple good bunker shots. Like what happened on what was it, number 14? That was just a plug lie, and then he just end up getting up the lip. Like there's nothing you can really do, or maybe it was like 8 or something. There's nothing you can do about that. Like Matt, we talked about them before the tournament, how crappy these bunkers were. I can't remember seeing as many horrible plugged lies.
Terrible lies, bunkers. Dude. Terrible.
It's unbelievable. I can't think of another tournament where it's like this.
Yeah, no, it's crazy.
And I understand they got the hurricane, they had to put new bunker sand in there, but this was the same problem last year too.
Yeah,
it's it's entertaining. The guy who sets up this tournament, I think his name's like Chris Flynn, does a really nice job. Those greens were crispy and they're running firm, but they also were pretty fair on.
I think they were fair
Friday and Saturday, with the win. But man, you gotta do something about these bunkers. They're horrific. You can't have that.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, Rory fucked up in the bunkers a couple times today too.
Yeah. Yep, he did. I think Spieth had a couple really bad lies. Cam Young. Did you see Cam Young's yesterday?
No, I missed it.
It was literally submerged into the bunker. I think you can only see the little top of the ball there.
Oh no,
it was amazing. He even got it out.
I'll have to go look for that.
Yeah. It's just every time a ball was getting sent to a bunker, the guy was just don't plug.
Yeah, I think they were saying that even the moron announcers were saying that shit, who add nothing to the broadcast. And I know you promised you wouldn't bitch about the coverage anymore. I never made such a promise. This coverage is a fucking joke. A fucking joke. We didn't see a single shot from fucking Hatton. I swore we weren't even going to see Rory's approach shot on 18. It's bad, dude. The TV coverage is so fucking bad.
Comcast, NBC, they've done a lot of cuts. It's
so bad.
It kind of is what it is. CBS has gotten a lot better though.
We got NBC for the next 3-4 weeks.
Yeah, but that's it. Although we got the U.S. Open and we have the Open Championship. But CBS CBS has the FedEx Cup playoffs, by the way.
Okay, so fine.
All right. Do you have any other takes about the field? You got
Rory's a choking fucking dog.
Okay.
Yeah, a choking fucking dog. And then Mush. Azinger is painful. Yes, absolutely. Congrats, Mush, by the way. He took him Friday at fucking Kitayama at 35-1.
Oh, nice. Congratulations. See, there you go.
And I told him, I was like, that's nice, but there's no chance Kitayama's winning. So,
so this is all your fault.
It's my fault. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
All right. And did you hear Rory's post-game comments?
I did not. I turned it off after that.
Oh, he would have used a different club on, what is it, 12 that he fucked up? Oh, wait, 15. Which one did he win? 3 wood. It was 15, right?
Oh, 15 where he rope hooked.
He didn't know he had the leader. He would have chose a different club. Oh, bullshit. That's the type of shit that pisses me off. Fuck off with your lame ass excuses.
Well, with that hole, it's there's not a whole lot you can do there. Now I did notice they did it for whatever reason. They did a better job, I guess, softening up that fairway. That balls didn't just immediately roll through like they were last year.
Yeah.
But that's a tough driving hole. Either you take on driver and you risk going out of bounds to the right.
I just didn't like the excuse. Not even about that. I didn't like the excuse. If I knew I was in the lead, I would have pulled a different club. No, man, you made a bad fucking swing. Just own it. This is why I hate putting money on the guy. I dislike him so much. I dislike him so much.
Well, I'm getting that way with JT, to be completely honest.
What happened to him? God.
Well, he met my expectations through 2 rounds. Yeah. I said before the tournament, I was like, hey, look, sometimes when you get these winning conditions, he shows up and he was 7 under before screwing up the last 2 holes.
He's good in the wind, man. He's good in the wind.
He is. And then I don't know what happened Saturday, Sunday. I know what happened today. Well, actually, I know what happened Saturday. He couldn't make a putt. I was like, okay. And I went to bed last night. I'm like, you know what? Maybe, just maybe, his par's just going to lay on fire. Nope. Terrible today. Absolute no-show.
Yeah, I almost took. There was a couple guys who I was looking at matchups last night, but I was pretty tipsy, and I was like, you know what? I was looking at taking JT. I was like, there's no way Lowry can play this bad again. And, I'm glad I talked myself out of it. I was like, I don't really know, because I like the coverage. I didn't see a whole bunch. I was running around yesterday, so I don't know. JT's number's super short at TPC too. So I'm not taking the cheese there. I mean, it depends on the tee times, I guess, and the weather, but.
Yeah. We'll I learned the hard way at Bay Hill. Don't overrate wind splits. I actually made a Word file and put down these notes for next year. I actually made one last year for the players. I'm going to go over this year. Some little tips I kind of reminded myself that maybe I don't do that mistake again. Yeah. Don't overrate wind splits. I know Kitayama was on the right side of the draw. I know Roy was on the right side of the draw, but there was a lot of guys up there who were on the wrong side of a draw.
Oh, yeah.
Still were in the Scotty, Hovland.
Yeah.
Harris English was up there.
Yeah, the Goobs. Is he back?
He might be back.
He might be back.
He might be back. I mean, he was playing pretty well last fall, and he's starting to put things together a little bit. So
his putter was on fire this weekend.
Well, I mean, he got no one calling in.
Exactly.
Say, hey, your grips. He fixed his grips. Apparently, now they're all worn and they're comfortable now. So, but my mistake was, okay, you can't win a tournament after 36 holes, and my outrights were looking fantastic after 36 holes. But it's Bay Hill. No one is ever going to run away with this thing.
Yeah.
And everybody was in the same conditions on Saturdays. It's just whoever's better at Bay Hill is just going to rise to the top. And that kind of ends up like the top of the leaderboard. I looked at it, I was like, yeah, that kind of makes sense for Bay Hill. And do not let me try and create a non-Bay Hill, Florida betting card next year. It's not going to work out for me. Just play the hits.
So yeah, exactly. So Mush texted, and we talked about this offline already. Mush, serial killer's warming up. He is going to be so fucking popular next week.
Cantlay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
His course history here stinks.
Let me put something out into the ether right now. So there might be people who just make the blatant lazy take of seeing his missed cut last year and just assuming that he was on the wrong side of the weather jaw. No, he was not. I am here to tell you right now, he had the AMT time and he was absolutely horrible. Do you know why I know he was horrible? Because I bet on him last year and I was like licking my chops saying, all right, he's won at PGA West. He's been good at Harbor Town. He's got the AM, Thursday tee time. He's going to be great. He was terrible. We'll talk about why he was terrible and why he might be terrible again this year. But we'll go over that a little later. But listen, overall, congratulations to Kurt Kitayama. Neither of us had him. Wasn't even really on my radar. It is what it is. We'll try and do a little better for you at the players. You got anything else before we move on?
Nah. Maybe what Webb did today. Are we
6 under?
Yeah, dude, he was on fire. Just saying. Coming to TPC.
I guess we'll have to see what he actually did.
Yeah, I got.
Is the putter fixed for him?
I don't know. Maybe that's why I got to take a look.
Because that's what's been really bad. His putting is now horrible.
Has Webb sucked the other, or has he been good?
He's won a Players Championship.
Yeah, I know, but I mean recently.
I mean, he's been terrible recently. So yes, sure.
Oh shit, he actually didn't win as long ago as I thought. 2018.
Yeah, that was the last year of Bermuda, and then they switched to the overseed.
Yeah, he's 16th cut. Bad splits,
Yeah, I mean, last 2 years has been terrible, basically.
He was fucking awful. I don't know. Maybe I got a nice little trend for first round leaders already, so can't wait for the.
I actually might have something too, based on some of my intel. Maybe it'll match.
I like it. Yeah, I hope so.
All right. Why don't we take a break, and then why don't we start talking about Players Championship, TPC Sawgrass? Right in your backyard. You're going to be contributing a lot tonight. I'm going to ask you some questions based on your experiences, and I can't wait to break it down with you.
All right. Sounds good, brother. Well, listen, WynnBET is the official online sports book of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. WynnBET is active in a bunch of states, and there are tons of ways to win, including live betting and same-game parlays, a.k.a. WynnBET's Build Your Own Bet. March Madness is almost here, plus plenty of ways to win, getting down on the NBA, NHL, and XFL. Sign up today to receive a special offer. You bet $100, you get $100. It is limited to state availability. And of course, for our DJs only, if you hit the biggest long shot parlay of the week, you get $1,000 free credit. There's so much to choose from, and all you got to do is head over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WynnBET so they know that we sent you. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WYNNBET. Offer is subject to change. Terms and conditions at WynnBET.com. Must be 21 or older, present in state where playthrough WynnBET is available. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call 1-800-522-4700.
Okay.
We're going for three players in a row.
What do you mean? Oh,
taking the winners.
Did you? Well, we didn't exist when Rory won.
JT, Cam.
Oh, we are going for
the
yes,
third.
we are.
Yes,
yep,
we're
JT.
Yep.
So we both are on JT. You were only on Cam.
Yep. Going for 3 in a row. Let's go.
Okay. Keep up the hot streak, baby. All right. Let's break down TPC Sawgrass. So my article came out today. It is a
beautiful
mega
article. Beautiful.
Thank you. Beautiful. Thank you. We'll get to the end of the show. We're going to have some changes overall with some of the editorial content. I decided to change up a little bit how my preview was going to be laid out. I did, instead of like bullet points, I kind of laid out more by area of each game. And I might end up doing that going forward. It was a little more work for me, but I kind of like that a little better.
I liked it a lot.
Okay. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. So maybe I'll continue to do that going forward, not just the players, the majors, or anything like that. So, all right. So TPC Sawgrass. I mean, we've been doing this podcast for 3 years. We've gone over the golf course. You know, it was basically created in 1980 after the PGA Tour commissioner basically wanted to create a players championship, a tournament that would be the crown jewel of the PGA Tour to rival the majors. And he tried to shop around the tournament around Ponte Vedra Beach. It was rejected, so he ended up just buying 415 acres in swampland for allegedly $1. So the story goes.
I mean, this was still the good old boy system down here back then. Probably like some Dixie Mafia type shit.
Probably. Yeah, probably somebody took like a giant tax loss on this land, and that's probably what happened. Then they turned over to Pete and Alice Dye, who created, I would say, their best golf course.
Yeah, definitely.
You can probably argue if it's Kiowa. You can probably argue if it's, I mean, I wouldn't say it's Harbor Town, but you know, there's probably some other ones that are not on the PGA Tour that you know, can rival it. But this is probably the crown jewel of the Pete Dye collection, and pretty much everything you can ask for in a Pete Dye golf course. Pretty much when you like when you think about his types of golf courses, you see a TPC Sawgrass. It's everywhere here. So, I posted a couple of videos. I would highly suggest looking at the Golf Digest one, the hole by hole one. Like a lot of really good drone shots. The guy in it did a really good job laying out all the holes. I put a couple of videos of no laying up as well. They had two guys play the entire golf course with Matt Every actually narrating and kind of giving commentary. He gave a couple nuggets that I'm going to go over a little later, but I'm going to turn it over to you. You have played it several times. Mm-hmm. You know the course very well. You know how this golf course can just punch you in the face. So, I guess why don't you talk a little bit about like what you really like about it, what you don't like about it, and why you think it's just so difficult.
So it's just like any other, like, I don't know. It's like there's no flat lie fucking anywhere. It seems like it seems like there's a mound somewhere, some sort of slight slope. You're always hitting a little bit above, a little bit below your feet. These little tiny pop bunkers are just a nightmare. They really are. Like, and so I played it one time, like I think it was like 2 weeks after the Players, and like the rough was fucking ridiculous. Now this was back when they played it in May, so I don't know what that changes now. Mm-hmm. But yeah, man, the rough is ridiculous. There's hazards everywhere. It's intimidating as shit. Like 18 is way scarier to me than 17. Like way scarier. 18 is terrifying with that water coming down the left. I like number 2. 1 and 10 are nice.
1 and 10 is basically a mirror image of each other.
But it's like cool. It's like reverse, like you said.
Exactly.
Right?
I put that in my article about how you know, basically the shot shapes you have to hit on 1 and 10. They're basically the same yardage, but it asks you two completely different questions, essentially.
Yeah. So 10 on the tee box is super tight.
Yes.
Super tight, man. I remember getting up on 10 in the tee box the first time, and the first time I played it, I just put it straight into the fucking woods on the right. Like it was like, I was like, this is so narrow. That's all you can think about while you're standing on that box. Yeah. Man. I mean, overall, it's just it's a tough course. Like, I mean, I don't know. Like, I'm a fucking hack. You know what I mean? When I shoot in the 80s, I'm very happy. You know what I mean? So this course punishes you for not being accurate, and I am not fucking accurate. So like it beats the hell out of you. What's funny is like even when you think you hit a good shot, like I said, it's super irritating. There's mounds all over the place here, and those things give me fucking fits. So yeah, I mean, everybody's familiar with this course, man. It's good. Like it makes for good fucking TV. So much drama. So love it, man.
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing you said about how there's so many hazards, and Pete Dye. I mean, a lot of this golf course has changed since he first did it, but like a lot of his overall principles are still in this. And Pete Dye would put specific bunkers or water hazards or trees in specific spots for a specific purpose. Like you'll be walking the course and you'll see this tiny little hula hoop bunker just kind of hanging off to the side. You're like, why is that there?
Right.
And then you hit it and you're like, oh, this is why this is there.
Exactly.
Like, now I am short-sighted. I have no room. Like it's just you get, and you said it pretty correctly. Like you have to be very precise there. This is the quintessential target golf course with very small targets, and if you make a mistake, the chances of you recovering is very low. You have to basically get into an area that is the least punishing option. in with your approach shot. And if you miss in the wrong place around the green, there's very little room to basically get up and down. Yeah, you're basically screwed at that point. And it asks you, and I put a couple of examples in my article. One of the things that makes it so difficult is how you have to basically plan from your tee shot, how you're going to hit your approach shot in the green. And it asks you to basically hit the ball 2 different directions with 2 different swings. So, for example, on the first hole, you got to play it as close to the fairway bunker on the right as possible. That's on most holes. It's a very common Pete Dye principle to basically play towards the trouble to get the best angle to the green. Because if you do, then you can hit a right to left shot. You got to hit a draw after you hit basically a fade off the tee. And then the reverse is true on 10. You got to hit basically a hard hook. Again, hit it pretty close to the bunker into the woods. Sure, you can there's a lot of room to bail out right, but you have to carry over a bunker. You don't have a lot of room. It's just that's ones that you're basically delaying the penalty at that point. And that's why Sawgrass is so great. Pretty much every single hole, it's kind of like that. So a couple of the nuggets I got from Matt Every, you kind of just alluded to it. I don't know if this is your first on Leader Lean, but he hates starting on 10.
Oh,
absolutely hates it.
Well, what's funny?
So what's
the last 4 leaders, first round leaders, have gone off on 10.
That's interesting. He
10 in the morning.
Okay. Well, there you go then. But he says that he hates starting on 10 because the tee shot, like you said, is
it's terrifying.
It's uncomfortable. Like, and that's another thing too. Like the Golf Digest video that I showed, like a lot of these drone shots from the tee, it looks like Mars from the tee box. Like it's so uncomfortable. It's so foreign to these guys. Just kind of how the bunkers kind of pinch into the fairway, what type of shot you have to hit. It's golf like you've never really seen it. And it really exposes guys who just are not comfortable at this place. And there's a few guys that might theoretically be good course fits for this place. It might just not fit their eye. It might just not suit for them well. And that's why they don't really do well here, because it is so challenging and just so bizarre sometimes. It's really quirky. And it kind of make it. I was thinking about this before. Rory McIlroy's won St. Andrews. He's won here, like a really quirky golf course. Cam Smith won the Open at St. Andrews, won the Players. I don't think that's a coincidence. Just kind of weird golf.
Yeah.
Where just, kind of roll the punches. You have to be precise. You got, you're looking out like, okay, this is weird, but I can still handle it. And some guys can get that a little bit in their head and they don't tend to do as well. So I think it's one of the reasons I love Sawgrass. I didn't used to appreciate it, but I think doing the show with you really spoke highly of it, and just kind of digging a little more into it. It truly is a great golf course. This is a great test for the Players Championship. I know we make jokes about how they try to compare it to the majors, and it's some of the marketing branding behind it can be kind of corny and cheesy.
You don't like what was that guy? The
Gold Boy?
Gold Boy.
Gold Boy. When I think they superimposed Gold Boy onto Tiger Woods making the giant putt on 17, and they tried to get Tiger's reaction, and Tiger's like, "Yeah, I guess that's kind of cool."
Right. Like Tiger as a pitch man. What do you think?
What do you mean?
So, like, have you seen any of these, like the awful forgiveness commercial? We were bitching about that, weren't we?
Oh, I said a line. I said it's PXG minus 175 over the forgiveness. That's horrible.
Yeah, I think more and more I've seen it. The PXG guy it's like nails on a chalkboard to me. The thing, he sounds like a bad movie drill sergeant. I don't know. Maybe it just brings back bad memories for me.
I still think the Tour Edge one with the Champions Tour players are really bad. The senior clubs,
those are bad too.
Those are horrible.
Those are bad too.
I would rather do, and actually the PXG guys actually kind of toned it down a little bit.
Yeah,
I'd rather listen to that than
basically
seeing one of the guys playing air guitar with his driver.
Yeah,
it goes long, and I mean long. That's my best impression of whoever that guy is.
It's pretty good. Sorry, all right. But
anyways, back to Sawgrass. So that's one nugget. Essentially, he doesn't like starting on 10 because it's just a really uncomfortable tee shot. One is definitely a little more manageable. I mean, it's still a tough driving hole. You got to hit a fade, then you got to hit a draw, but it's way out in front of you. It's if there is a handshake hole, I guess it would be kind of it.
I wonder. I wonder if it's just because I just wonder. Like, I wonder if the guys have last 4 have done the first round leader. I wonder if it's just because they're catching 17 when it's pretty calm, right? Like
That's
there's not a lot of
true.
wind. Like what? So if you tee off at like let's say 8 o'clock, you're at 17 by before 10. So
Yeah, maybe. We also had to consider too. How many first round leaders did you say?
4 in a row, 10.
So it's
10
4 in a
for Franken.
row. Okay, so 3 of those were the
Were the
ryegrass.
change.
One of the guys is Bermuda. So I guess at that point it's still a trend of that.
Yeah.
There. Do you remember? Did you look at Hideki? You know, before the COVID hit.
Yeah, I think Decky was 10. I think Decky was 10 too.
Okay,
because that would be 4, right? Because it would be Decky.
It'd be 19, 20, 21, 22. That'd be 4 in a row.
Yeah, I'll pull it up.
Okay, all right.
While you talk, I'll pull it up.
So another thing, though, he said was, and this is also interesting, is that TPC Sawgrass is a really bad golf course for guys that like to fade the ball. And his argument was, on all the holes that are basically shaped from left to right, you got to hit a left to right tee shot. There's no real adversity or trees that would basically prevent somebody who, if they absolutely do not want to hit a fade off the tee, to still start it right and bring it back to the fairway. So you can still technically hit a draw. On all the holes that basically are shaped right to left, there are trees on the left side or just something on the left side just screams, do not hit it over here.
Yeah.
And it makes sense. Like Rory McIlroy, you know, he hits a draw. That's, I mean, he started to hit fade more recently, but back when he won, he hits a draw. JT was hitting those snap hooks at that point. Cam Smith, he hits more of a draw too. And then, you think about some notorious faders like Dustin Johnson. He's been okay here, but never really a ton of success. Brooks Koepka, he hits a lot of fades, doesn't hit a ton of success here. So that might make actually a lot of sense. I was, because I bet my Brooks Koepkas, I bet my Brooks or my Dustin Johnsons. And I mean, I know it's difficult to really pinpoint sometimes, like who's really a fader, who really isn't. But that does make sense that, you look at a lot of guys, especially a lot of European tour players, they tend to play a nice little tight draw there. Yeah. Those guys usually pretty good here. So that makes sense. That was kind of eye-opening. I mean, it takes a little bit of kind of knowing these guys and know if they prefer to hit a right to left shot shape or left to right. Yeah. But I thought that was a very interesting nugget that I got from the No Laying Up
I like that.
from Matt Every from that video there.
So for the first round leader, so for 19 was Keegan, went off in the afternoon at 10, but I didn't. He tied with Tommy. I remember being upset about that. Who went off at 8:22 in the AM at 10. Hideki went off 8:24 at 10. Sergio went off at 7:40 at 10. And then 2022 we had 6:56 Fleetwood and 8:13 Hoagie at 10.
Wow. Okay. That's a very strong trend then.
That's really strong.
So and then, so 1 in the afternoon this year.
Yeah. Yeah, probably. Yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah. Based on how things have been going.
One last tee time.
All right. So one last thing to talk about with Sawgrass. I always look trying to see if they've done any changes. They've done a couple changes, like subtle stuff. So they added on hole number 1, they added a couple small pop bunkers. Imagine this, all this crap that is around all these greens, either mogul mounts or tiny hula hoop bunkers. They actually added more pop bunkers around number 1
this year.
They also made, they went to a couple holes on the fairway bunkers and made the faces a little steeper. They also made some of the mogul mounts off the fairway a little more severe. Jeff Plotz, the tournament director, he said they wanted to put back a little more of the Pete Dye.
I like it.
Of course. So because that's kind of been softened over time. They've done a lot of changes and renovations, especially as the PGA Tour has kind of tried to make this place Augusta National, which we'll talk about in a little bit.
Yeah.
They added some more because TPC Sawgrass, like when Pete Dye first built, it was rugged. It looked nothing like what it does now. Now it looks very perfectly manicured. I don't know. Let me ask you a question. Do you like this kind of perfect, pristine TPC Sawgrass? You kind of wish it kind of had a little more, maybe like ruggedness in it.
I don't know, man. Like I kind of do like the pristine part of it. It's such a pretty course to look at. I don't know. And I'm biased, right? Obviously, it's my fucking it's the big tournament that like helps my community out. You know what I mean? Like so much money gets pumped into here. What's funny is my daughter, she was working at a restaurant like right outside of Sawgrass. It's on Brokers Row. And last TPC, everybody was freaking the fuck out, man, because the weather was so bad. People weren't going out, and so I hope this year for like the local and small businesses and things like that. Like I hope it gives the bump that they need, because that they count on that on a yearly basis as part of their projected revenue.
Oh, for sure. I remember, I mean, obviously with COVID, like that was horrible. But one of the things they talked about was how canceling the players was devastating because of all the good it does for Jacksonville and, the area there. And
Pontevedra don't need no help, but Jacksonville certainly does. Pontevedra doesn't need any help.
Yeah,
Duval needs some help.
Although maybe Trevor Lawrence and Jacksonville Jaguars, maybe they'll start actually contributing a little more than just the players do.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
I don't know. So let me ask another question too. Yeah. So did you go to the players in the first round in 2020?
The COVID year? No. So I had tickets.
Yeah,
and I was like, I feel like I shouldn't go. I feel like the end of the world is happening. Maybe being around all these people is probably a bad idea. And my wife kind of co-signed it, and I was like, all right, fine, fuck it, I won't go. And that was just a bad week in general, man. Brady signed with the Bucs. All the bars finally shut down here. It was the worst St. Patrick's Day fucking ever. Brady got traded on that. Fucking players got canceled on Thursday. Yeah, fucking. It was
NCAA tournament got canceled shortly thereafter.
Yeah, I didn't care so much about that.
I mean, that was a big deal.
Yeah, I know. I just said I didn't.
I cared about that. I'm a big college basketball fan, although being from up here with being a fan of Syracuse Orange, things have been really tough. All right, we are diverting. Why don't we take another break? And then why don't we go over betting strategies, my kind of beefed up betting strategies this week.
All right. Listen, we're also brought to you guys by Underdog Fantasy. Underdog is your home for off-season NFL best ball drafts, and they got you covered by a ton of other daily games, including the NBA, NHL, and PGA. Underdog Fantasy is a great way to get down on your favorite player props if they're not available in your state. Head over to UnderdogFantasy.com and use promo code SGPN for a 100% deposit bonus up to $100. That's UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code SGPN.
Okay. All right. Let's talk about Piper golf balls too. So obviously we're coming out of winter here. I just got dumped on up here in Rochester with a bunch more snow. We got more snow coming on the way. So maybe my golf season is not really going to come quite as quickly as I'd hoped, but I'm still prepping. I'm going to get my clubs re-gripped before I go to Florida. I'm getting some more golf balls, and you're probably doing the same. So you go to a store and you want to get the premium golf ball. You want your Pro V1s, your TaylorMades. There's a temptation because there's a lot of marketing branding that they're actually going to help you. Well, a lot of these golf balls, the premium ones, don't actually really help your game out that much. You got to be a really good player in order to get all the maximum benefits out of it. So why pay more, especially when you're probably going to dump a dozen into your lake anyways, and go for a little discounted ball. Go with Piper golf balls, who actually give comparable golf balls to a lot of the bigger names. And they got a series of golf balls basically tailor-made to your handicap. So they have the green line of golf balls. That's for your 15-plus handicappers. If you're a higher handicapper, you typically have a slower swing speed. The green golf balls actually have a little bit more distance gains in order to get you out there. It's going to lower your scores because you're hitting close to the green. They have a line of balls. They're blue brand of golf balls. That's for your 5 to 15 handicappers. Your mid, maybe your little better players. It's got a good combination of distance and feel. Doesn't spin quite as much on off-center hits. That's going to help tighten up your dispersion a little bit. They have their black line of golf balls. That's for your scratch golfers of 12 handicappers. It's for guys who want a little more spin, a little higher ball flight, a little more control once it hits the green, stops on a dime. That's the ball for you. But the premium ball, and I got it right here. This is their gold ball, not gold boy, but their gold ball. It's their 4-piece urethane golf ball. It's got a very high spin rate for players who prefer to actually, want to hit the ball, left to right to left. But what it's really going to do, and this is how it's going to immediately help your score, is that it has really good spin rates around the green. And listen, you can go to the driving range, you go pound balls, you can go hit your irons, you can get all that down. But at the end of the day, if you really want to lower your handicap quick, be really good around the green, and Piper Gold Golf Balls can do that for you. So go to piper.golf/GGP and you'll get 10% off your first order using promo code GGP. You can now opt to subscribe and receive scheduled shipments on golf balls at a 50% discount, and you get free shipping on any orders over $50. So go to piper.golf/GGP and improve your game today.
Nice. I'm actually using those tomorrow in a charity tournament.
Ah, very good.
So we'll see.
That
spin rate thing. That spin rate thing terrifies me off the box, though.
It is, but you know what? If you don't play well with them tomorrow, don't blame the golf balls. Blame your bum ankle.
Yeah, exactly. Flu game, baby. Flu game.
Flu game. Yeah, if that's when you call when you shoot 110 tomorrow, I'm
not gonna shoot, dude. It's a fucking charity tournament. We're playing scramble. I'm not shooting 110. I got it's my buddy who's a fan of the show. Who actually that's how we ended up being buds. Who we took out last time. He invited me this way. He just played for Alabama. No, not Alabama. He played for. Fuck, I fucked it up, Jason. Sorry. I don't know. He played college golf at Georgia, somewhere in the SEC. He's fucking good. It's ridiculous. It's like, I mean, he's like fucking a little younger than me at this point, and he's still got it. Like it's absurd. I was like, this is not fair to play with you in a charity tournament.
Yeah, it's amazing when you go out with your buddies, and one of your guys is usually pretty good, but like then you actually go play with a guy who played in college, and it's like
it's fucking different level. Stupid.
And then there's the PGA Tour pros. I got an email from my aunt's brother who actually does stuff with the SGPN. Apparently, John Rahm's like actual golf handicap would be like a plus 14.
What?
So you know how there's 14 handicap, which basically you're getting 14 strokes.
Yeah.
He would basically, if he went to like one of your golf courses, he'd have to shoot like a 58 in order to like.
Oh, I got you. I was flipping it in my brain. I was like, that makes no sense. Okay. Yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah. Okay. So like if I played against him, he would give me 28 strokes, which doesn't seem like enough.
That does not, right? That seems absurd. I'm like, no, I need 40 strokes, John. 40,
exactly.
40 strokes.
Maybe. Although if we were playing Bay Hill, maybe it'd be a little more comparable. Apparently sucks there. All right, let's get to TPC Sawgrass. So again, I mentioned that in my article this week, I kind of laid things out a little differently. Let's go through each of the categories one by one. Let's start with the yardage of TPC Sawgrass. So at its tippy tips from the back tee boxes, it can play as long as 7,300 yards. The last couple of years, though, it's played much shorter. It's played around like 7,050 yards. Occasionally, it'll play with the tee boxes and where the pin play Bizarro play like 70, 90. I think that has something to do with the fact it's been a little colder weather. You get some windier conditions. You don't really want to get it, too far out. I think there's also some types of shots they want these guys to actually hit that might, make the tournament a little more interesting. But it's a pretty short yardage. But that doesn't mean these guys can really overpower the place, though. Let's start with the par threes, though. So there's 4 of them on the golf course, par 72. Hole number 3, that's the one that has the flagpoles up on the top of the hill there. It's got a little water hazard around the left there. Typically it plays between like 180, 185, but then they shorten it. They move up a tee box, plays like 165. That hole can be pretty flexible as far as like where they want the tee boxes are. They tend to play with the yard just based on wind conditions, stuff like that. Hole number 8, that's a very long par 3. It's the only one over 200 yards. That one can play as long as 231 if they move to the back tees. Sometimes they play it a little, about 200 as well. Hole number 13, that's one where on Sundays, it seems like they have a Sunday pin placement that kind of resembles 16th, the Masters. If you get a pin down in the front left corner, you can kind of work the ball from right to left, funnel the ball close to the hole, kind of like at 16 at Augusta. Last year in 2022, they played about 150 yards. Typically plays between 175 and 185. And then hole number 17, obviously, this is basically a pitching wedge onto an island green, one of the most famous holes in golf. Last year played as long as 146, as short as 123. Still pretty intimidating, though. So overall, not very long par 3. Sometimes we go to these golf courses like at Bay Hill. I think they all were 200 plus. You got a good variety. You got a wedge. You got a couple mid irons, and you have a long iron. So pretty good variety of holes. That's kind of typical for TPC Sawgrass, where a lot of different varieties of yardages and holes that you're going to have to hit into. Overall, the average score on all the par 3s at TPC Sawgrass is plus 0.15 since 2015. So of all golf courses with at least 5 tournaments played since 2015, that's the 6th toughest on the PGA Tour. And that's going to be a common theme when I go through this. Yeah. A lot of things are really tough at TPC Sawgrass.
Yeah.
So that's a common theme. Do you have a particular favorite? I mean, other than 17, do you have a particular favorite par 3 you like out of any of those?
Yeah, the one I made my fucking first birdie ever on. It's 13.
Okay, nice.
That was my first birdie ever.
That's a tough tee shot.
Yeah, but so this is before they made the change. So it was definitely a little shorter. But yeah, I mean, it was fucking cool. I stuck it to like fucking 2 feet.
Nice, man.
Didn't know what to do with myself because I'd been golfing. Because like I told you, I didn't pick up golf. I didn't swing a golf club in my fucking life until my late 20s.
Mm-hmm. So, all right. So let's go to the par four. So again, I just mentioned there's a lot of different varieties of yardages at TPC Sawgrass, and you can really see that in the par fours here. So, I went through last year the yardages. I went through the yardages of every single round. There's 10 par fours at TPC Sawgrass, so 40 total for the tournament. There was only 2 that they set up as drivable. That's hole number 12. They've made a lot of changes to that hole.
That's a fun fucking hole, though.
I mean, it's controversial. Some architect geeks don't really like it. Some, do, but
so as a fan, like that's one of the holes. Like when you bring the wives, like that is a great hole to go sit at because they can even get into it and they get excited about it and they usually have I think Taco Lou, which is a local good tacos shop, has their tacos right back there. So you get some tacos, some margaritas, sit down for a little bit. Watch them hit some balls. So
see, that's the best piece of advice in this preview podcast is Taco Lou, apparently.
I mean, Taco Lou's solid, bro.
There you go. So anyways, there's only 2 par fours last year that played under 350 yards that were essentially drivable. It's number 12. There are 10 par fours total in the tournament. They're going to play between 350 and 400. There are 16 or 40% that play between 400 and 450, and 30%, which is 12, that play between 450 and 500. So overall, the average combined was only 423. That's not very long at all. And there was only 1 par 4 last year that played over 475. So a lot of variety. And you're going to see this in the approach shots where you're not just hitting kind of the same shots over and over and over and over because there's different yardages as far as, and because a lot of holes basically ask you to hit less than driver based on where the fairway, punches in. You got to play positional golf. There's a lot of good variety in its par fours. And you can see that here. But they're really tough though. The field average score on all the par fours since 2015 is plus 0.13. That is the 5th toughest on the PGA Tour of all non-major venues and
That's
alternatives.
Crazy.
It is. Now, it varies it's very weather dependent. Like in last year, and I think in 2021 when it was really firm,
super firm.
They played really tough.
It was cold in 21.
Yes. No, it was cold last year. 2021, it got nice over the weekend. It was windy.
Well, yeah, so I think I was there on Thursday. And it was fucking cold.
Okay. In 2019, it was
cold for Florida, by the way.
In 2019, I think it was really cold and windy in the final round too. I remember. I mean, Rahm basically melted in the rain, the wind. That's what I remember most about that tournament. But last year was cold. I mean, the first and second round lasted 3 days, so you basically got every single weather condition last year.
So bad.
But regardless, it played really difficult last year. It's very weather dependent. If there's not a lot of wind, if it's soft, they're not quite as difficult. But if you wind, you get cold, which is kind of usually how March is down there. You're going to at least maybe 1 or 2 days like that.
Yeah,
they're going to play tough. But just overall, though, we kind of talked about it. They're really awkward tee shots. They're weird sometimes. They're uncomfortable. And it asks you to hit the ball one way off the tee and hit it another way with the approach shot. So you got to really plan basically from tee to green. You got to think like 2 shots ahead. If you miss a green, it's going to punish you. That's what Pete Dye does. Like it's just, they're going to like, if you miss a green, there's going to be a mound there. There's going to be a bunker. There's going to be, you're going to be short-sighted. It's just so difficult. He was a mastermind to be really, really annoying with punishing players if you're out of position. And that's why the par fours are just so tough. But if you keep everything in front of you, you're patient, or if you know when to be aggressive, kind of look what Bryson did a couple of years ago, know exactly when to put, the pedal down, know when to scale back, you can get around here.
Yeah, until he fucked it up on the last day, which was fine by me.
Yeah, I know. Until he topped it into the water. It was
fine by me. JT couldn't make a fucking putt on the front 9 and then finally started draining it on the back 9.
I know. You know what's depressing? I actually went to look back last year. No. I think half the top 10 were guys who are now on live, which is pretty depressing.
So what you had? Yeah.
So Anirban Lahiri, Cam Smith.
Oh yeah, I forgot Lahiri with the fucking
Paul Casey.
Yeah, Paul Casey. Fucking.
There's a couple. I think
that makes sense.
It wasn't. I don't think Westwood was. That was 2021.
That was 21. Yeah.
And then Bryson.
Him and Bryson. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of live guys did really well.
It makes sense, like you said. I mean, the Euro players used to dealing with the wind, Tiger Golf. You know what I mean? Like they see weird golf courses, right? So
basically,
yeah, it makes sense. Yeah. The fact that Cam's not here to defend his title is literally heartbreaking to me.
I know that is tough. And I sent you a little blurb earlier that if Keegan Bradley,
I don't like you're just needling me. Like this is before the Rory shit happened today, so fine, like whatever. Like, but the bullshit. Keegan's not going to fucking live.
Hey, Keegan, back to our top 10, by the way.
Yeah, I'm very well aware. He cashed a fucking hefty top 20 for me. Thank Christ.
There you go.
You gonna bet him this week too? Live. Yeah, of course I'm going to bet him this week. He almost won last year. So
okay. Yes. I mean, listen, maybe he'll carry on tradition of Cam Smith. You win the Players Championship, and then you leave for live.
I fucking hate you. I fucking hate you.
Okay. All right, let's go to the par fives. So collectively, they're not very long in length. The longest par five is number 9, which plays about 570 yards. But number 2 only plays about 530. Number 16, the easiest hole in the golf course, plays between like 506 and 521. Number 11 plays like 547. So collectively, they only average about 544 off the tee. Really short, but they're kind of like Bay Hill's par fives last week, where look, like, you know, it's where you got to score. You got to take advantage on these holes when you can. Is a birdie a guarantee? No, absolutely not, especially on a lot of these holes. So like number 9. So you know what? So why don't you talk about number 9? Which is just kind of a crazy hole to me.
Yeah, I mean, almost anything can happen at that hole. Like if you fuck up, like, wait, is there water? Is there water on 9? There's no water on 9.
So there's water on the tee shot. Like basically, there's a creek that kind of like so the fairway goes out and it kind of runs diagonal. So you want to hit your tee shot to the right because there is a giant crop of trees like 40, 50, 60 yards short of the green that if you're on the right side of the fairway, either you got to hit a hard hook, or you just got to try and hit it over the trees and hope, and or you just play positional golf, you lay up at like 60, 70 yards before the green trying to get up and down.
I feel like most guys do that, right? They make it a traditional three shot pass.
No, I've seen a bunch of guys try and go for it, but
how does that work out though?
I don't know. I mean, I have to go back and look at the data. Excuse me. But I mean, optimally though, it's daring you to try and take on that water. And you've seen guys do it.
Yeah.
And also so where the fairway runs out, it's like 310 or so.
Yeah.
So sometimes driver might be a little too much. You've seen guys try and carry the water, which I don't think has really worked out too well for a lot of guys. So really it's try and hit a little peeler to the right side. Then you got a very clear view of the green. You can go for it in 2.
Yeah.
Otherwise you bail out left. And, you know, I mean, you've seen a lot of guys that, you know, either if they try and hit a duck hook, they overcook it. They're in the trees and there's a lot of mounds over there. It's just nasty.
Didn't Reed do that like 2 years ago?
Possibly. I mean, he's hit a lot of duck hooks in his career, just like
maybe that's
might have been Spieth, to be honest. I saw a lot of duck hooks out of him today.
Yeah, he was bad. He was bad off the box. What do we think about his back? We didn't even address that. We think his back's fucked, or do you think he was? Just
I like how our producer, who did a lot of jinxing this weekend,
he was trying.
Yeah, he's trying, but it was funny how he actually texted us saying, "Hey, I hope you got your Masters tickets." And then it's like 2 minutes after he said that, Spieth started grabbing his back.
So like Cam doesn't like know how much we despise any type of early, like, just whisper nothing. We all know what bets we have. There are certain names we don't talk about. We don't fucking say anything. Like that's why I had to get out of fucking Discord. I couldn't handle it. I'm too stressed out. I'm gonna yell at everybody. Like,
yeah. I mean, I fake fire Cam probably about 17 times now. So. Love you, Cam. You do great work for us. We appreciate it.
Dude, he's Cam is the best producer on the network.
He actually is. He's phenomenal. So, all right. So back to the par 5. So overall, since 2015, they averaged minus 0.3 under par. So very manageable. They're still the 13th toughest on the PGA Tour, but like I said, like they're basically comparable to Bay Hill. Actually, I think Bay Hill is like the 14th.
You said toughest. 16 is the easiest hole on the course?
Yeah, I mean, it's short as long as you don't. I mean, well, that gets me back to my point. Like that's still kind of difficult to pull off. Like you basically have to hit a duck hook around the trees, and you have to make sure you don't overcook it like Cam Smith did.
Cam Smith, yeah.
In the
I thought I was fucked when he put it in the woods.
Sure, like there is a lot of room to bail out right off the tee, but that means you got to carry it over the water. And the ideal shot shape is a left to right fade.
Yep.
And you saw it a couple times, like Daniel Berger last year in the final round. He was on the right side. He peeled it a little too far right.
Yep.
And then he argued with Hovland and I think Joel Damon about where he needed to drop it. But like that's the point. Like you can the benefit of hitting a shot on the left side of the fairway in 16 is if you hit it over the water, chances are it's not going to cross until like it's near the green.
Yeah.
So you still get a par at that point.
Right.
But if you're on the right side of the fairway, you bail out. That's a really difficult shot. I mean, unless you aim way far left and then hit a giant little fade there at that point.
Yeah. The Sunday pin placement there is always super tough. And if you miss left, they have those little pop bunkers over there. And even that, they have that fucking tree that I've seen so many guys fucking struggle with around that tree. So that's funny to me. That's the easiest par 5 because I mean, I guess there's eagle opportunities, but like there's danger like that. I've seen so many balls go into the water on 16. I've said that's my favorite spot to sit there. Like usually I'm in the waste management tent anyway, so it works out. But you get to watch the par 5, you get to watch all the approaches, and you're literally right there at 17. You can still see everything. I saw Lowry's hole in one from that. So
now it's a fairly big green. So if you do bail out left, there is a lot of room to operate as long as it's short-sided. So, and I think there's a little apron up in front too that you can kind of get up and down it.
You can putt from there.
Yeah, and again, it's only 530 yards.
Yeah.
So as long as you hit the right tee shot, you're on the left side of the fairway, you got a lot of room to bail out, or you can go for the pin. That's usually why. So, so my overall point though is that you got to take advantage of these par 5s. Is it a guaranteed birdie? Absolutely not, though. Like you can definitely screw these up because of water being opposition. They're still tough at the end of the day.
Get into a divot like Paul Casey did.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Oh, it was the best divot I've ever seen. I was like, yes.
Yeah, because he was in contention. You were sweating that out there.
Yep.
So, all right, let's talk about agronomy, my favorite subject.
Let's go.
Okay. So before
Bermuda tee to green, right? No overseed, no nothing, just straight Bermuda, right?
It's actually past Palm.
Yeah, I know.
It's close to the sea, there's water, so you don't want, it's salt tolerant now.
Yeah,
so that's the tricky part about trying to gauge course history about here is that we had a major agronomy change back in 2019 where it was all Bermuda for a long, long time. And then once they moved back to March, they had to change the agronomy. They also wanted to look like Augusta National. So that's why it's bright white sand with deep green, turf.
Yeah.
So it is overseeded wall to wall with a northern strain of grass. It's going to be a little more cool tolerant. And in Jacksonville right now, it still is not warm enough to sustain Bermuda growth. So it has to be a ryegrass overseed. The rough is about 2.5 inches in height, which is not all that significant. The ball can still get buried a little bit in it, but it's not like API. It's not like Elijah's place. Actually, I was looking ahead. Valspar is overseed, but it's going to be almost 4-inch rough when they play that in a couple weeks. That's a preview for 2 weeks from now. I don't think they were happy that Sam Burns won it the last couple of years. So they're trying to get back to the roots. I think
4-inch rough. Oh,
yes, but that is. Nice. 2 weeks from now, we're talking about the players. So overseed with ryegrass, fairways and rough. Now the greens itself, they're also overseeded. It's not just a Poa trivialis mix. They have a little bit of velvet bentgrass into it. I wouldn't get too caught up about that. I know that some people try and make a big deal about, it's got the bentgrass. And there are a couple overseeded golf courses with that same combo. I think TPC Louisiana has the Poa trivialis overseed with the velvet bentgrass. TPC Scottsdale until a couple of years ago had that. Overall, though, if you tend to just kind of look at these overseeded greens, what it does, it takes a lot of the grain that Bermuda green would do to it. They roll really true. You talk about guys when they go to PGA West at the same course, they marvel about how they love putting on that surface as opposed to Bermuda. Hello, Adam Hadwin.
He's got a good course history here.
Well, it's overseeded.
Oh. It's funny.
Valspar is overseeded. This place is overseeded.
I was looking at some cheap guys, and I was like, "Fuck it." Hadwin's got a pretty fucking
Hadwin hits a lot of fairways, and he rolls a pretty well on overseeded greens.
No,
pretty good combo.
Regular Bermuda blows. Fucking sucks to putt on.
Yes,
So
I'm glad I live in the Northeast here. So, all right. So here are the overseeded golf courses that you'll see in the PGA Tour. So TPC Scottsdale, like I just mentioned, PGA West Stadium course, Innisbrook, where they're going to have the Valspar. Sometimes when that's played in late April, that can be a little more Bermuda, but in general, you just use Innisbrook. Austin Country Club. Unfortunately, there's no strokes gain data, but there's a lot of guys who have done really well at Austin Country Club that have done well here.
Has Scotty done well at Austin?
Scotty's won it, and he finished second.
Right.
Yeah. Kevin Kisner.
Kiss had a good finish last year, but that's only because he was.
No, he lost in a playoff to Fowler.
That's right.
Yeah, man. This is why I'm here to remind you of that stuff.
I forgot about Kisner being on that playoff. Wasn't there a third guy in that playoff? Who was the third guy?
Oh God,
there was a third guy, right?
There was, and I forget who it was.
Kisner. I'm not betting Kisner. Do not let me bet Kisner on anything. Matchups, nothing. Do not. Seriously.
I mean, I think Fleetwood made the semis 1 year at Austin Country Club, and he's done well at Sawgrass. So
2 first-round leaders for fucking Tommy.
There you go. TBC San Antonio. That's been overseeded every year. That's before the Masters. Harbor Town the week after the Masters. That is overseeded, and then TBC Louisiana, which is the bullshit team event.
Fuck that. No kiss.
That actually has the specific velvet bent grass and Pro Trivialis over.
Xander and Cantlay won there, so
yeah. Plus it's in a swamp, so
it's true.
It's got to be. It's got to be correlated, guys. So, okay, I'm not even sure Pete Dye even remembers. Well, he's dead now, so he can't remember.
I was like, I'm pretty sure he doesn't remember anything, Steve.
That's true. I'm saying, I bet if we asked him on his deathbed, hey, can you? Did you know you created TBC Liaison? He'd be like, what?
Yeah, no, I didn't.
No, I didn't.
That's what I gave to some of my underlings, and I was on a cruise ship somewhere.
Yeah, but Bobby Weed handled that one more than I did. I just signed off.
Wasn't Bobby the one that I just played? Who's the guy? Who's the course I just played?
Oh, Bobby Weed, yeah.
Yeah, fucking. We were bitching about him, and what's cool though is he made these bunkers that look like the open bunkers, like the scaled up ones. You never see that in fucking Florida, but Jesus Christ,
that's cool.
Those greens were like concrete. Oh my god, like brand new.
Well, you learn from the best.
Yeah, it was fun, but it was funny because the guys I was playing with were like, "Get fucking Bobby Weed on the cell phone," because one of the guys is like friends with him. Fuck Bobby Weed. What the hell's he doing out here? This is bullshit.
Bobby, you're a good architect, but I like you. All right. Let's talk about off the tee. Let's talk about each single category now. So off the tee, it's not a very driver-heavy golf course. You can see it in the average driving distance of all the par 4s and 5s. They're only about 280.4 as the historical driving distance average. That's actually pretty constant, too. Back in May, back in March, pretty much the same. All golf courses with at least 5 tournaments in 2015. That's the 9th shortest on the PGA Tour. And like we talked about, there's a lot of really awkward tee shots, a lot of tee shots where you can't just bomb it out there. I mean, you can try and do it. It's not very the prudent play. There's a lot of fairways as well that kind of pinch you with a bunker or water hazards or you guys lay short of the trouble. It's actually maybe a little better to set yourself up with a 150-yard shot instead of like a 100-yard shot. Yeah. So there a lot of those holes are like that. So a lot of guys opt for a long iron or a 3-wood. I was on a lot of these par 4s. But even using like a more accurate club, the drive accuracy rate is only about 65%. That's pretty low compared, considering you're not hitting driver a whole lot there. Yeah, so it's pretty narrow. All the fairways are just a little bit over 30 yards. They all feature like a pinched and bunk, like an inconveniently placed bunker or a water hazard where just landing in the optimal landing zone is not very convenient. It's not very visually appealing to a lot of players. I think that a lot of guys get mentally intimidated. I think they get intimidated and just psyched out when they step to the tee here.
Yeah.
So it's very uncomfortable. And that's why historically TPC Sawgrass is the 6th toughest off the tee in terms of your expected total strokes gained since 2015. And especially when it gets really windy, like it did 2021, 2022, it can be an absolute nightmare at this place. And it's really punishing to miss a fairway. Like we mentioned, it's target golf. You got to basically play. If you miss in the wrong spot, it's going to be really difficult to recover. And that's why that basically the average penalty for players who miss a fairway with your total score in the hole is about 0.4 strokes different, which is the 4th biggest difference on the PGA Tour.
It's a half a stroke. That's fucking nuts.
Yeah, so there's a lot of penalties. About 6% of all tee shots incur penalties. So basically, 1 in every 20 tee shots incur a penalty at TPC Sawgrass.
That's fucking awesome.
Yeah, so that contributes to it, but also just the fact too, like it's better to, if you're gonna miss a fairway, make sure you miss it on the right side. Like even hitting into one of those bunkers, they're elongated bunkers, and as long as you don't get really a crappy lie, as long as you're on the right side of the fairway, you can recover.
Right.
But if you like are aiming right and you hit it left, like you're done. That's bogey. So it's tough. Like I mentioned, very visually not appealing. I think there's a lot of guys when you look at, like, all right, why is this guy better here? And you look at his strokes getting off the tee set, it's like, oh, that's why he constantly sucks here.
He sticks.
Yeah, you're just screwing yourself immediately off the bat. So, all right, let's talk about approach play. So, doesn't cut you any breaks. Even if you hit a really good tee shot, really tough approach shots too. It ranks as the 4th toughest of all golf courses with at least 5 tournaments since 2015. Ranks as the 4th toughest on the PGA Tour. So greens are really small. They only average about 5,500 square feet in area, and they're well protected. They have subtle false fronts. They have collection areas that basically funnel balls down to. There's a very small margin of error to keep the ball very close to the green. And even though the green regulation rate is 63.5%, which is not absurdly low, it's not like Bay Hill standards. The overall proximity from, especially out of the fairway, is a lot higher than what is a normal PGA Tour stop. So I looked at the last 3 years, ever since they moved to March. So the average proximity on the PGA Tour is about 37 feet. At TPC Sawgrass, it's about 39 to 40 feet, your proximity, which doesn't seem like a whole lot, adding 2 to 3 feet, but on average, that's a big difference. That's a big difference. Yeah, it makes a difference for sure. And they're difficult from all ranges. They are the toughest from all shots 150 and less. I would probably say 17 has a lot to do with it because there's a lot of water balls there.
Yeah.
And from over 150, they are the 7th toughest. So you're not catching any breaks.
How about that?
There. Yep.
That's that's always my favorite bet of the week is water balls.
Oh yeah, you're going to get a highest score at 17. Yeah, I think last year I cashed that immediately. I think it was 7.5 was the highest score.
Was
I think
got
like a 9.
It was not right.
That was 2 years ago.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Actually, Paul Casey I think did that for me 2 years ago. Last year I think it was average score 7.5, and that was easily cashed on Sunday. I think when they completed the first and second round.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go. So they have taken some water away from some of the greenside surrounds with a couple of the renovations done, but overall though, there's still 8 greens. It basically has water greenside, which is a pretty high percentage. And then overall, TPC Sawgrass features the 7th highest rate of penalties incurred on all golf courses since 2015. And that's not just anything like a rotation. That's just major venues. It's all golf courses.
Yep.
So a lot of penalties incurred at TPC Sawgrass. Let's get the approach shot distribution chart. This is tricky. And it kind of speaks, though, kind of what I talked about earlier, where there's a lot of good variety as far as a lot of holes and yardages. You see in this approach shot distribution chart, not a very heavy concentration as approach shots. It's kind of split out all across the board. If anything, last year, there was a slightly higher rate on shots between 175 and 200, but it was only by a little bit. There was a much higher rate on shots between 225 and 250, but it's only like maybe 3 shots around. Everything else, though, it's pretty evenly distributed. And unfortunately, what's also weird that I looked at is that it doesn't stay constant throughout the years. Some years it'll be more way down 150, 175. Some years it'll be more weighted to 125, 150. And then maybe there's not as many from like 175 to 200. I think it's very weather dependent.
Yeah, probably.
So regardless, though, I just think about conceptually the guys who tend to do pretty well at TPC Sawgrass and just some of the tougher approach shots. It tends to be guys who hit like the shorter to mid irons pretty well. Like your proper ball strikers are really good from that range. I know Cam Smith, looking at his proximity numbers last year, he was a beast from like 125 to 175. Yeah. Rory's always really good from that range. Justin Thomas always really good from that range. Technically, the winner in 2020, Hideki Matsuyama, was really good in that range.
He's not the winner of 2020.
I'm
what
kidding.
Are you talking about?
I'm kidding. But if I'll get to a list later of guys who historically have done very well at Sawgrass. A lot of guys who just they don't rely on their length. They're not very powerful, but they're just like proper good iron players from that range.
Yeah.
So as far as proximity and scoring goes, it's not going to be perfect for me, but I'm going to target just like 125 to 200. Just identifying guys who are really good with their shorter irons to mid irons. and can pull up and can answer that question that is asked a lot of times. Can you hit the perfect right to left shot? Can you hit the perfect left to right, or right to left, left to right shot, essentially, with these ranges? So, around the green, we talk about it a lot. Pete Dye, I'll read from my article here. Pete Dye is known for subtly punishing players with annoying and triggering greenside features, and TPC Sawgrass is his masterpiece. Mounds, collection areas, tiny hula hoop bunkers. You're wondering, what the fuck are they doing here? Well, there's a reason why they're here, because you're in it, sir, and you're about to make double bogey.
Listen, I would rather be I've said it before. I'd rather be in a bunker than fucking chipping anywhere. Give me a bunker.
Yes, you would. Yeah, and Pete Dye, on almost all of his golf career, if you miss a green, you're dead. Screwed. You're screwed.
Dead.
You're screwed. Yeah. I mean, props to Alice Dye for putting up with him, because he must be just a giant. He must have been a giant perfectionist. Never could please him. Although she was pretty diabolical too, so no wonder they were probably
a good team. Good team.
They were a good team. So again, keeping up with the theme that TPC Sawgrass is really difficult. Of all golf courses, the least 5 tournaments since 2015, TPC Sawgrass ranks as the 6th toughest around the green for obvious reasons. Doesn't seem like you can get a very flat lie. Like, look at some of these drone videos from the Golf Digest video. Like, holy crap! Like, some of the mounds that are just like hanging off to the side there. Like some of these small like pop bunkers are like 3 feet above the putting surface. I'm like, what the hell's going on here?
Yeah, man.
It's a nightmare, dude. I no wonder, like, some of these northern guys, they go there and just like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, exactly. Like you said, it's like being on Mars.
Yeah, give me back to my Donald Ross, man.
Yeah.
So, what's strange though is that while it is difficult, it seems like there's been a little bit of some changes to how difficult or how easy some areas are. I think based on the agronomy. Now, there's 2 things I can explain. The third I can't. We'll kind of talk about it. So, let's talk about from trying to get up and down from the fairway. So since 2015, it ranks as the 5th most difficult to try and get down from from fairway lies. But since they moved to March and since it's on the Ryegrass, it's played a little easier. And I think it probably has to do with the rye overseed. I think it's a little easier to chip off of, and I think it's a little easier to putt from off the green if you're from the fairway, if it allows it to, versus Bermuda did. So I noticed just the scoring, like basically what your expected strokes gained would be the last 3 years versus what it was when it was in Bermuda since 2015. Slightly easier from the fairway. So yeah, that makes me think, okay, you take like a really bad scrambler like Bryson, who contended here, or Victor Hovland, he could putt from a lot from off the green. So that reduced some of the times he had to, chip from it and stuff like that. So I think it made it a little easier. Let's talk about the rough. So TPC Sawgrass ranks the 5th most difficult to get up and down from rough since of all golf courses, at least 5 tournaments since 2015. It's played a lot more difficult though, which is surprising to me, since it went to March, which you would think, okay, chipping from Bermuda rough can be difficult, a nightmare for a guy like me. Typically with Ryegrass overseed, the ball sits up a little bit. I did notice when they were talking about on the coverage and talking about Bay Hill, the Ryegrass overseed can get really sticky and it can make for, kind of challenging contact between the ball and the club face.
Right.
And there's also some wind involved too. So I think that might be why it's been a little more difficult, is because maybe with the overseed makes it a little more difficult to try to get the ball close to the green, where guys who just grew up playing and chipping off Bermuda, they had no problem. Right. The overseed can be a little difficult, and you throw in a little bit more wind, a little more cold. That might make it a little difficult just trying to get up and down from the rough here, even though it's not all that penal, as far as like length or anything or thickness. And then lastly, since 2015, TPC Sawgrass ranks as the 6th toughest to try to get up and down from greenside bunkers. Over the last few years, though, it hasn't been quite as difficult to get up and down from the bunkers. I don't really know a reason why. I tried looking and seeing if there was a different change of sand. It possibly could be with how the ball interacts with the overseeded greens once it comes out of a bunker.
Right.
Maybe weather conditions. I'm not totally sure. It could be just a fluke. But it seems like the last couple of years have been slightly easier getting out of these bunkers. I don't really know why. Overall, though, they're not easy. You got to be pretty good around the green, try and get down. Even if like you miss a green, you're probably screwed anyways. If you got some short game chops, just save a couple strokes. There you go. And then putting. It's difficult to putt on. TPC Sawgrass ranks in the 7th toughest greens to putt on. But there's a very big gap between like the average PGA Tour difficulty and like the average course and like Riviera or like Pebble, like those public golf courses. Like it's much more closer to the average than it is to like those really hard golf courses. So while it's 7th most difficult to putt on, that's a little misleading. But for anything over 15 feet, it still plays as one of the toughest on the PGA Tour. That's even consistent with overseeded greens and the Bermuda, which is a little surprising because some people, they say that, switching from the Bermuda to the overseed makes the ball roll a little truer. I think it's just basically just how the greens were designed, like kind of like around the green. If you basically miss in the wrong area of a green at, TPC Sawgrass, it can be difficult to putt. That's evident in any putts over 15 feet. It ranks to the 5th most toughest on putts more than 15 feet. And also what I noticed as well, so typically it actually was fairly easy, I think, historically to putt on any putts less than 5 feet. Over the last couple of years, ever since they switched to March, it's been way, way more difficult on putts under 15 feet. I think it might, again, have to do with some of the wind.
Nice.
You guys have experienced too. That makes it a little more difficult. And anytime you get shorter putts and windy conditions, you saw it this week at Bay Hill.
Yeah.
Nothing is guaranteed at that point.
Well, as of now, the weather looks pretty good.
I see a little bit of wind, I think, over the weekend.
Yeah. But it's like steady. It's like, 10, 15.
Still. Yeah. And I mean, listen, with all the trees, I can mess with some of these guys.
Agreed.
So.
You can get some swirls.
Okay. All right. I'm going to skip the we're going a little long. I'm going to skip the variance chart. That's a little kind of,
really go check his article out. He's got this all fucking broken down. It's a beautiful thing. Like, I really like the article this week.
Okay. All right. Well, then, I'll keep with this format. So why don't I go with the skill set chart? And unfortunately, TPC Sawgrass is one of the least correlated
good luck.
Of course, like usually it'll be like, all right, like Bay Hill, that's like, all right, like, longer players or really good players, like those stand out. The only thing that really stands out is really accurate players tend to do really well here, but not much of a correlation with shorter hitters or longer hitters. Actually, less of a correlation with good iron players and not good iron players. Less of a correlation how good you are around the green and not. Putting, same thing. I think it speaks to 2 points. Number one, Sawgrass allows any type of golfer to walk in and basically play their own game and get around. As long as they manage anything they're deficient in, they basically make sure it doesn't really bite them in the ass. Yeah. And as long as you're really excelling in stuff you're really good at, you can do well. For example, you can have the same leaderboard with a Kevin Kisner and a Bryson DeChambeau.
Yeah.
Or a Brian Harman and a Bryson DeChambeau. Or, a Tommy Fleetwood and a JT Poston. Like, guys like that. Like, if you show up and you're on top of your game with the things you're good at and you manage the stuff that you're not, you make sure it doesn't really drag you down, you can get around TPC Sawgrass. But I think it also speaks to the second point, is that this golf course will sniff out your weaknesses. And if you're not sharp, especially with the things you typically rely on, if you're not sharp in those areas for a couple of those days, and you can't you may basically make a couple more mistakes with some other stuff that you're not good at, you are going to get ejected from this place. Especially like, and I just mentioned like, let's say you come in here like, all right, you call yourself a really good iron player, and that's how you tend to get by in the PGA Tour. Well, if your irons are not sharp and you can't recover with like around the green putt, like you're just done. Like, you can compound your mistakes very easily at TPC Sawgrass. And it does a really good job of weeding out pretenders that week. And I think that's why there's a lot of randomness year in, year out with TPC Sawgrass. Like there isn't like, you can't show up if you're an A player and you show up with your B- game. You can't just bring your B- game throughout the whole tournament. That's going to turn to a D very quickly. And you see that with a lot of players where one year they'll finish like top 10 and the next year maybe they're struggling a little bit with some areas they're usually good at and they're just hard eject.
Yep.
So, and then, wow, there's a typo right there. I don't even know what word that is. I'll have to fix that afterwards. All right. Lastly, guys who have been really good at TPC Sawgrass. Unfortunately, you saw the list, but I was going to basically make you guess. I was going to give you $100 if you could guess. Who has, of everybody with at least 8 rounds at TPC Sawgrass, who has the highest average strokes gained per round?
I don't remember who was at the top of the list.
Okay, so you're not going to win $100. Doug Gim.
Oh God, he's $6,100 this week.
I know. He has the highest average strokes gained per round.
He hard ejected fucking that 1 year. It was
he hard ejected, I think, twice.
Yeah, twice. Yeah.
Yeah. Regardless, he's gained in his 2 appearances, gained 1.7 strokes per round on the field. Second is Justin Thomas.
Yeah.
Third is Tommy Fleetwood. Fourth is Siwoo Kim, your boy.
Where's Decky?
He's not even, don't worry. I'm going through the top 10. Fifth is Will Zalatoris. I mean, he hasn't had a top 10 here, but I think it's 2 fairly solid top 30s. 6 is Corey Connors. 7th is Hideki Matsuyama. 8 is Joel Damon. 9 is Jason Day. And 10 is Adam Scott. So you go through that list.
Checks out. Yeah. It makes sense.
A lot of really good ball strikers. A lot of guys who don't rely on length.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some longer hitters there, but I wouldn't call any of these guys and say, like, oh, he's so long off the box.
No.
Like, I just think, like, man, Corey Connors just can hit it right in the screws of his irons. Zalatoris can hit right in the screws of his irons. When Siwoo Kim is at his best, man, he's a great ball striker. Adam Scott, Justin Todd Fleetwood, like those guys. Like you know when like you look at a guy, you're like, man, that's just a quality, vanilla, no nonsense ball striker, and just get around. That's more. I'm looking more for that than like your Ferraris this week, I guess, if you get my drift.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense.
Okay.
I wonder what number we're gonna. I wonder what I can get Siwoo at. Anyway,
okay.
Sorry.
Do you have any questions?
No, well, we've already run long. We can address any questions on the DFS and betting shows, which we have 2 great guests this week. We got Andy Lack tomorrow night, and we got John Hasselbauer on Tuesday. So we're bringing the boys. So yeah, dude, I'm excited. I think this is going to be a good week. I don't think the carnage weather-wise will be there. I just think the carnage will come from the golf course, which is more fun and more fair.
I agree, and you're gonna need to cattle prod me if I try and create a non-TPC Sawgrass betting card.
I will, and do not let me wager on or against Kevin Kisner.
Okay,
he is not allowed to have any money for or against.
Let me ask you a question because we kind of bantered this guy around the last couple of days. Am I allowed to electrocute you if you put a bet on Callum Morikawa this week?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I don't trust him. Yeah.
I don't know if I trust him either.
We'll see. That means he's gonna fucking win. All right. Well, listen.
Well, I got one. I got one more thing. So, to our fans, by the way, of the show and SGPN, thank you for all the support. You're going to see some changes, some of our content going forward. Look, like we had to kind of make a hard choice. We're undergoing some changes at SGPN overall. It's how we want to deliver content to you guys. We need to make a decision on either continuing to give you guys content or having to scale back. And that's going to involve changing some of the ways we deliver some of this stuff. So going forward, starting this month, we're going to have a lot more video content, a little less more editorial side. I know some of you guys don't like changes. Hello, Paulie. I know you don't like change. But we promise you it's going to be for the better. It's going to be good. You're still going to get my previews every single week. That's going to be editorial form. I'm going to come on here and basically give you a book on tape on them every single week, but it's going to be a little more video, stuff like that to deliver you more of our picks, more of our analysis every single week. We hope you guys enjoyed. I'm actually really excited about it. I'm glad that golf still has a very large footprint on SGPN, and that's the way we're going to deliver it to you.
Yeah, baby. Our audience is the best. Like it really is. Yeah, listen, you get to see my pretty face a couple more times. I'll be doing a first round leader thing. And then I don't remember what the other thing is. Monday morning immediate outrights where I get to be extra angry because you guys actually have access to it. I live in Florida. So super fun. And maybe some round stuff on the weekend. Not quite sure. Don't remember.
Possibly.
Yeah, possibly. But anyway, yeah, listen, big week, fucking big purse for the one and dones again. So yeah, man, big week. Listen, like I said, fucking going for 3 in a row. 3 in a fucking row. Let's do it, dude. 3 in a fucking row. Let's break them fucking books. We got Andy on tomorrow night, John on fucking Tuesday. Let's fucking go.